Om Namah Shivaya, well, Reza, Sabina and Roger here. Let's watch Vaibhav Shiva, the glorious ways of Shiva with Sadhguru. It was a request by one of our world yogis, Tiger.
And if you think Shiva is glorious like we do, hit that like button.
Thank you.
I'm not a worshipper. I have never prayed to Shiva or to anybody in my life. Never, not even once.
Wow.
Really?
Huh.
But he's been my breath and being always.
What does Vaibhav mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Vaibhav.
Yay! Missed you, Sadhguru.
Missed you. Long time.
Oh, where's that?
In a cave?
Oh, the paintings in the background.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Maybe it's Isha Yoga Center.
So here we are exploring and expounding the glorious ways of Shiva. The only way you can grasp what's happening here in the next 7 days is the first part of Shiva's teaching was to Parvati, his wife. It was taught in a certain intimacy, in a certain closeness, certain lack of resistance from the other person. If you want to grasp this, you have to sit here like the Devi herself, otherwise
I will.
that part of Shiva's ways will be totally out of reach. Shiva expounded various types of yogas, every kind. The most gentle and compassionate yoga, the most ruthless forms of yoga, both were expounded. Because with him, he has no qualms about anything. He has no morality, he has no right and wrong. For him, his body is just an instrument. Everything in the existence is just an instrument to ultimate realization.
Nice.
So depending upon the level of preparedness of the person who is sitting in front of him, accordingly he went. Shiva, the Adi Yogi, came to an inner state of stillness, where if he closes his eyes, he can sit like this till the end of the world. Simply he sat. Himalaya, many of you just went there and came. The mountain is personified. The king of Himalayas had a daughter whose name was Parvati. So Himalaya and Parvati came and started serving Shiva where he was sitting and meditating. After many millennia, he opened his eyes and blessed Himalaya, and then he saw Parvati. Then he told Himalaya, it is improper for you to bring a woman where there is an ascetic, you take her away. Immediately, Parvati said, why are you rejecting me? And who are you to reject me? You are the basic principle of the existence. These two are known as Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is the masculine, Prakriti is the feminine. Prakriti also means nature. Purusha is the fundamental principle, Prakriti is creation. You are Purusha, but without Prakriti, there is no action in you. You are just inert. You cannot do anything by yourself unless there is Prakriti. Shiva said, I can dismiss and dissolve Prakriti right now. I created it, if I want, I will dissolve it this moment. Don't talk to me all this nonsense, you go. Then Parvati said, if you have so much power that you can dissolve Prakriti, why are you doing this asceticism? And why are you sitting in these mountains? These mountains are Prakriti, the air that you breathe is Prakriti, the sky is Prakriti, everything is Prakriti. And if you dissolve this, you will have no role to play, you will just become inert, absolute emptiness which you are. He liked the argument and the spunk in her. But he still pretended to be very angry and asked her to leave. She refused to leave. She has been performing immense austerities to become the wife of Shiva. She was completely determined and focused, her only focus was this single point agenda she was going on. Then people interfered and Shiva decided to marry her. He married, but there was no involvement. He still lived as an ascetic. She was beside him, he accepted her, but he still continued as an ascetic. How will she find fulfillment as a woman? So she was desperate to have a child. So when Shiva was not there, when she was having bath on the banks of Kanti Sarovar, where some of you happen to go this time, she took out the sandal paste that she had smeared on her body, plus a little earth, and formed a little boy out of it and infused life because she wanted to enjoy the child, because she's been cursed to be barren. And Ganapati was born. Shiva was in the mountains meditating. After about 12 years' time, he came back. By then, Ganapati has grown into a 12-year-old boy. Parvati was having bath, so she had asked Ganapati to watch out so that nobody comes this way. He was standing guard for his mother. Shiva came. He was in a certain mood, he was just walking in. After 12 years, he was walking into the house.
Cool.
Ganapati stopped him, said, you cannot enter. He asked, who are you? He said, it doesn't matter who I am, you cannot enter. Shiva just took his axe out and chopped his head off. So the boy fell dead. And Parvati came from a bath and saw her son dismembered. She just went into such sorrow and angry with Shiva, she said, you have to do something. Then he just came home and he killed his own son and now his wife is angry, you know. Lot of trouble. Then
beautiful.
he sent out his ganas, go out into the mountains. The first animal that you see, behead the animal, bring the head. I will resurrect this boy once again. So the first animal they saw was a baby elephant. So they chopped the head of the elephant, brought it. Shiva brought him back to life with an elephant head. So you see Ganapati with an elephant head.
Aww.
So this is a different version of that story. So he tells, we've heard Sadhguru tell this story another time where it wasn't an elephant head, it was a Ganapati, right? Remember the alien?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
That had the features of an elephant, but
Oh,
it
yeah.
wasn't an elephant. So he's also told the story that way before.
Oh yeah, okay.
So
Fascinating.
So he's telling the story in two different ways, which I think, so the meaning, if you can grasp that, is that the stories aren't really that important. It's not totally like to hold on to what actually happened in the past, like as a factual event, is never as important as the meaning and the teachings, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyways.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Do you remember that?
Yeah,
though,
yeah,
right?
I start remembering now. Yeah.
So now it's back to being an elephant.
I want to see that play.
Ganapatim tva ganana
Beautiful.
ganana tva ganapatim.
And when he saw Parvati's plight, desperately trying to fulfill herself through normal processes of life, Shiva, out of his compassion, said, "This is not the way for fulfillment." And then the yoga started. He started teaching the methods of self-realization to Parvati, saying that having children, bearing children is not going to really lead you to fulfillment. Here is the way, and he opened up the possibility of yoga. When we say ways of yoga, we are looking at getting mastery over the fundamental processes of life, the very process of creation and dissolution. In great detail and in such gentle ways, Shiva went about expounding the ways of yoga to Devi. The sutras, the Yoga Sutras of Shiva are such that almost in every sutra, he refers to her as the resplendent one, the gracious one, the beautiful one. So you need to understand that this teaching transpired between two people with utmost intimacy. Intimacy should not be understood as sexuality. Intimacy means there is no resistance. There is no need to fight through this person. This person is absolutely open to whatever is being offered. So it is in such a state that these sutras were offered. So the sutras will be so subtle, so gentle. A thinking mind, an arguing mind will wonder, will such a thing work? But it worked miraculously for her. And she became fully realized. Here, if we have to expound yoga in Shiva's ways, you have to really sit in my lap. Absolutely no resistance. Either you have to sit here like a Devi, or you have to sit here as a child. If you can't do this too, you just have to enjoy the party. We'll make sure the party is good. Shiva repeatedly referred to Devi as the resplendent one. So, you must be that way. You must dress that way, you must be that way so that I can refer to you that way, okay?
Aww. Yeah.
Yeah, so the resplendent one, I think in the sense of just being also like receptive, right? And then when he's talking about being like a child, just having that curiosity and that openness of mind, to take in what's being taught. And that's what Sadhguru is saying, like you have to be that way. So resplendent can also be like people who are like truly joyful, right? And happy, and just, outgoing in a way. And just so positive. Yeah, they have a glow about them, right? So they're resplendent, right? So I think that's a very great teaching because that's part of the receptivity, right? Because there's so many people that you meet that, even for me, like I have friends who are they're not spiritual at all, or I don't have any interest in it whatsoever, right? But they're they're happy to see us being joyful and the joy that it gives us, but they're not interested right now for, whatever reason, and that's fine. But so we got to keep being true to ourselves and being open, because everything else, coming from materiality and ego consciousness is never going to be as high or as deep or as satisfying, to the seeking soul, right? So we got to maintain our joyfulness, right? Our receptivity, and then that helps with everything.
Yeah, and it's also the beginner's mind, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's you put everything aside, like you have your concepts and things, but you're not attached to them, and you're open to, maybe see them in a different light eventually, or learn something new that maybe contradict that. So you just don't cling to anything that you learned thus far on the journey. Which doesn't mean that you can't believe in something, but you just don't hold it so tight. You just loose, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's why there's a really famous teaching that says that it's better to say that you have heard about something, right? So especially in dealing with like past historical events, it's like we want to debate about what happened exactly which way, right? When it's like, okay, well, that doesn't matter because we already have the faith that something was set up to be important in the past. But then what was it teaching? What's the teaching? The teachings are the things that leads us, out of samsara and towards liberation. I love the flute. Yeah. It always reminds me of Krishna.
I thought of Krishna too.
Tasmai nakaraya namah shivaya. Tasmai nakaraya namah shivaya. When we say Shiva's teachings, we need to understand that we are not talking in terms of philosophies or ideas. These are purely methods. They're just methods to get a person moving from one state of consciousness to another. There is no teaching involved, there is no philosophy involved. Shiva is not a philosopher, he's a yogi. When I say he's not a philosopher, see, it's very easy to be philosophical. In fact, the less you know, the more the chances that you will become philosophical. It's very easy to become a philosopher. You just have to read a couple of books and misunderstand them.
Misunderstand them.
You can become a philosopher.
Nice.
The reason why you're talking about something that is written in a book is because you have not perceived, grasped life in any depth. If you had even read a single page of this vast existence, all your life you would be talking only that. There wouldn't be time to talk about anything else. So Shiva is a yogi, purely existential, not philosophical, not intellectual. This is not something that you can understand. This is not something that you have to be convinced about. This is not something that you have to agree with. This is something that you learn to relate with. If you can relate to it and experiment with it, it will do miraculous things for you.
Yeah.
You could become as blissful as Devi became, that she just went mad as a March hare and romped about the mountains for many millennia. We'll curtail the time for you, but we got the mountains, we got the madness, we got everything. As he started expounding the various dimensions of yoga, Devi took on various forms. She became love, she became compassion, she became anger, she became fury, she became deadly,
Kali.
she became very pleasant, she became unpleasant, she took on every kind of form that could happen within the human consciousness. As she took on these forms, they went from the subtle to the more and more intense kind of forms. As Devi took on various forms, the seasons changed, the atmosphere in the world changed, because she is the Shakti, the basic energy behind the existence. As she went into many phases of her consciousness, everything around changed. And then he brought her to a state to make her realize all this is just a play of energy. She is none of these things. What she is beyond all these forms that she can take. And to harness that energy and make it happen the way it should happen is the science of yoga. And the explosion of yoga started. Shiva said, what you went through right now is just a play of your energy, this is not you. Then Devi asked, how do I realize that this is not me? Then Shiva gave her a simple process.
I haven't seen that before.
Sada vasantam, sada vasantam, sada vasantam.
Oh, is it Frisbee?
Is it?
Frisbee!
You were right!
Yeah, I saw some thumbnails of him hitting Frisbee.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's good.
Ah, it's gone.
Right out of the yard.
The dancer who is here, her name is Anita Ratnam, probably most of you already know. She is one of the foremost exponents of fusion kind of Bharatanatyam. She is internationally acclaimed artist. She's performed almost every part of the world. So, she will be doing the Nada Aradhana. This is a part of the Indian temple culture, that is, the puja or the worship was not just verbal. So people learn to use their whole body as a form of worship.
Huge.
Many of you, you're practicing surya namaskar, which is a form of worship, using the entire body to get into your worshipful activity within you. Similarly, dance also was used as a form of worship and as a form of involvement.
In action, in action.
Whoa.
Nice.
Love it.
Are you gonna join in when we're there?
Yeah, like that? No, I never danced like that. Beautiful. Oh, wow. Love it. Whoa.
Wow, quick.
You said, until you explode, I'm not your guru, I'm just your friend. Now I'm troubled. I want a guru. I've got a few friends already, but I want a guru.
Good one.
So here I am to explode.
Oh, I love it.
Please explode me.
Me too.
Please explode me.
So, I want you to understand, you're sufficiently packed with explosives, every one of you.
No.
Only thing is, some of you have kept it so damp it doesn't light up. Or some of you don't know where the fuse is.
Beautiful.
So, I can easily light it up. If you're damp, we can dry you. The weather's cloudy, it is not assisting, but I can dry you up and light you up. You just have to allow it. So right now, you don't know how to allow. If I say, allow me to do it, aren't I allowing you? I came for the program, I'm sitting here, what else am I supposed to do? So you don't know what it means to allow. So right now I'm telling you, just be involved. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Involvement does not mean, Shiva,
Yeah.
that's not involvement. You just go, simply go. Total involvement.
Yeah.
Like, this is the last thing that you're going to do in your life. Like that you must do everything. Every breath, every step, every word, every act, you must do it like this is the last thing you're going to do in your life. With that involvement if you do, I'll explode you. Because you're packed with explosives, every one of you. I don't have to, put any explosives into you, you are sufficiently packed. But damp or hiding the fuse. You don't know where the fuse is, you don't know how to light, you don't have a matchstick. I have all the fire you want. If you just show some involvement, we will explode you.
Yeah.
I love it.
As the story goes, Brahma, as he often does, granted the boon of invincibility to Mahisha, a powerful, ambitious asura. Except Brahma said, I can't give you immortality. So Mahisha thinks and says, make me invincible to any god and any man except a woman. And so when Mahisha begins his reign of terror, Shiva and Vishnu congregate. They not just chastise Brahma, but they also say to themselves, our wives are really too gentle to take on this brute. So we have to create a new divinity, a mighty force whose energy will be as swift as an arrow, unafraid, who will rush forth to shatter any obstacle. She will be the best of us, Shiva says. And so is created Durga.
Durga.
Tonight's presentation is called Andari, one of the many names that Durga is given, another being Ishwari, the wife of Isha, Shiva. The first scene in Andari describes the goddess as world mother, and as in one of the old epics, she is described as a giant female spider who spins the world as her web from her body.
That's
The
cool.
world is created and she watches with great joy at her creation. But then slowly the dark forces prevail.
Yeah, we don't know much about Durga.
Nothing, only the name.
She is called upon to be reborn in a terrible, aggressive, powerful form as Durga.
Gorgeous.
In the great battle that lasts for 10 days and 10 nights, Mahisha is ensnared and victory. The goddess is led in a great procession to the ocean where she's immersed and everybody waits for her return into their homes the next year.
That's pretty cool.
But at the end of Andari, Durga is so disgusted with the greed of humanity that, like a female spider who not only spins a web but can consume it and destroy what she has created, she decides it's time to completely annihilate everything in order for the world to be created again. All that is remaining is a lamp which symbolizes hope, a pregnant woman in whose womb is an unborn female child that she carries and hangs around one ear like her earring to show her compassion.
Wow, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I love that dance sequence, and then the spider web, and then just talking about Durga, which I honestly, I know nothing about Durga, so
Me neither.
that was super cool. So another basically form of Parvati, right? So the deities decided they need another female deity. It sounded like Shiva and Vishnu were involved in the creation of Durga, which was fantastic, and also symbolic of the mother of the world, right? So yeah, I thought they were going to reveal Kali, but I guess no, it was Durga.
Yeah.
But I think they're really similar, and I think because they're all manifestations of each other. I think, right, the female deities and then the male deities as well. So then so Parvati is Kali, which is probably also Durga, right?
Yeah.
And then the other ones. But anyways, if we're wrong, let us know. let us know more about Durga, because that was fascinating.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah, and then just get back into Sadhguru videos. Yeah, I just love hearing him speak. It gets me into the state where I'm just taking it in. Close my eyes, because he's just talking, wisdom, right? So beyond the, the philosophies, right? And I love how he touched on that. You read a couple books, and then you think you know it all, because you do get some conceptual realizations and some insights, and then we want to attach our minds to those and think that we know and think that we're somehow liberated already. But then if you're not careful, then you become attached to that philosophy. And the big thing with attachment is that you got to defend it, right? So then you're creating actual opposition, and these positionalities and opinions in the mind and belief systems that you got to defend at all costs, right? Which is what's happening with our Advaita, Dvaita debates that's happening in our Bhagavad Gita series right now, where some people are just so attached to one point of view. So instead of rejoicing at the fact that, hey, we're studying the Bhagavad Gita together, and we can have various interpretations of that, whatever identifies with us, but let's not lose sight of the fact that whatever view you're holding to be the best and the highest, we also need to rejoice at the fact that there's other people studying the Gita together, instead of, getting angry.
Are they getting angry? I don't know. They're so long. I don't read the comments.
Some people, yes.
Aww.
They're really
no need to be angry.
Really defensive.
Angry.
But anyway, so we need to rejoice and understand that any sort of spiritual concept, is still just, a concept. It's an idea. It's, it's in the mind, and that's why Sadhguru cuts to the chase that just holding on to that view in mind isn't the same as realizing it. And the only way to realize it is to really let go of the views in the teachings. So you bring the teachings in to a certain point, you need them, and then you advance enough, and then you understand that, the truth is still beyond whatever you can think. Okay, thank you so much for joining us for part 1 of this terrific video, and we hope to see you on part number 2 coming up.
Peace.